Hey Abhilash, welcome to this interview for HR Success Talk. And the first question that we have for you is, what are the key questions to consider before beginning a people analytics project?
Hi, Neri. Thanks for having me here. I think it's a good platform. I've been following it for quite some time and pretty riveting content. So yeah, let's see, how it goes. So on the question on, what are the key aspects to consider while starting a people analytics project? So typically, not just in people analytics, even in any kind of analytics project, what is something that really matters is the problem statement, unless if you really have a good problem statement and what exactly you want to accomplish, uh, it's just a matter of time that, you're going to hit a wall pretty soon, when you start the project. So problem statement is the more most important thing compared to the rest of the aspects in the stages of the people analytics life cycle. Now, in specific to people analytics, when I talk about problem statement, I would like to put it in 3 4 layers. One is purpose, which means what exactly you want to accomplish, and what is your intent over there, because of late it's becoming more and more evident that GDPR is playing a pretty crucial role over there in terms of what kind of actions that you're trying to drive with your population, using the data, because the data is at stake with you in the organization, and this data is pretty much related to the employee. Some of that, could be personal, some of that could be, organizational context, but then nevertheless, everything is related to the employee. So you got to really keep the right purpose in mind, what kind of behavior that you want to drive when you really come up with the insights. Now, the second aspect being sponsorship. It's very important that you need to have a right sponsorship for the project. Not that we have come up with a good hypothesis or a belief and then we want to test it. So unless if there is a right stakeholder for that, who is not just going to invest in terms of cost or resources, but then who would spend some time with you in understanding and then percolating the problem down to the all the relevant stakeholders, and also communicate the success of it or even the failure of it, or it could even be about it's the ability to act. So fine, we have done the analysis and then we have come up with a bunch of insights, but then what are you going to do about it? Are we going to keep it in the company library or in the white paper section? So you got to make some impact out of it, and then to really create that impact you need to have that right sponsorship, someone who really have that appetite to you know uh, to make the insights much more democratized, and then you actually act upon it. Now, that being the second piece. Now the third one is the hypothesis. While you may have a macro level problem statement, you really have to go into the next layers of what are the deeper tests or the beliefs or the initial hype, the descriptive analysis and all, whatever that it comes out with. So what is it that you exactly want to test under this macro statement? So it's important to bring it down to a layer of hypothesis. It can be two, it can be three, or it can be many, and that's what is going to make your project much more impactful. Otherwise, we would just be running a report. Hey, I mean, these are the demographics, and then this is how the attrition looks like, this is how the engagement looks like. It doesn't matter. It's a reporting, good dashboarding kind of project, but then not an analytics project. So a real analytics project is where you take the hypothesis and then you really test it. And the last aspect being ethics, because so far, even a couple of years back, people analytics was in a very nascent phase, and people were experimenting, coming out with some, individual predictions, saying that, okay, this person is having this much of likeliness to quit from the organization or likely to join and all that. But then we have kind of moved away from that kind of thinking in pinpointing an individual to a cohort. We are looking more at cohort-based output now, which means, what is the behavior that this specific cohort is exhibiting, and what kind of a policy or process level intervention that you can take, rather than just chasing an individual or chasing a manager or chasing a particular leader that you got to do this specific thing. So broadly, these four things are something I would keep in mind to start a people analytics project.
Great, Abhilash, and I totally agree with the point of taking some action on the basis of the analytics that you come up with. And it's something that we do in our organizations too, that after every analytics that we introduce to the delivery, we come up with a call for action for them. So that's something that we have really recently started, and it's creating quite some impact, at least at some levels in the organization. So very well stated, Abhilash. Moving on to the next question. The top three people matrices that as per you are the most important to calculate.
Okay, before I even get to the question, so if you just look at the evolution of HR, over the generations, it has started like a personal administration kind of a department in a factory or in a manufacturing setup, and then now to a real people analytics or people experience driven function. uh, I don't know what is HCM 3.0 or 4.0 or 20.0, but then I think the phase that we are in right now is we are concentrating more on the people experience. When I say people, it's not just employees. There are multiple stakeholders involved over there, be it your candidates or be it even your alumni or your managers or your leadership. So there are a lot of aspects that are involved over there, and even in our company, we are kind of moving from a employee experience concept to a people experience concept, because we wanted to really tap all the moments that matter in the life cycle of a person in the organization. So with that context in mind, any kind of initiative that you take on the people side, two things used to matter a lot. What is the cost and what is the time? And of course, you can derive at a bunch of metrics under each of these towers of cost and time. Depends on the kind of project that you have taken. But what I have seen, coming up really well and then makes it much more interesting is the third metric, which is experience. Now, what is the experience of the employee, or what is the experience of the particular stakeholder that you are, trying to do this project with? And of course, for that, you got to set up a proper, surveys mechanism, which is again becoming a pivotal thing in the entire people analytics value chain. So to put it in a very, very crisp way, yes, the cost and time aspects have been there for quite some time, but then adding this third dimension of experience is something that's going to really make the project much more impactful from a metric standpoint.
That's awesome. So the third question that we have for you, Abhilash, is can you suggest some good courses or certifications for beginner and advanced level people analytics?
Yeah, again, before just coming to the courses, okay, there's the platform and that's the platform. So let's look at what are the skills that we have to gain if you are really planning for a long-term people analytics career. And so far, my observation has been that you look at on one side there is a functional skill, the deep functional skill in terms of what exactly is your HR expertise, and then how well you can connect the dots from one stream to another stream, and not come up with a siloed output like, okay, this is for compensation, this is for performance, or this is for L&D. Analytics won't work like that. You got to really take a holistic approach. So the deep functional expertise is something that's required, which obviously comes with experience and also good observational skills. And the second aspect being storytelling, um, which is not just about a communication or a good slide. It's about how effectively you can translate the results or the insights in a very simplistic way, because we should not give a bazooka to your CEO or CHRO with some decision tree or with some big analytics jargon. We got to make it really simple, and then make them act on the exact insights that we have that we are trying to come up with. So the storytelling is another important aspect of that. Uh, the last one is technical, of course, and if the younger workforce in HR is watching this, then I would really recommend a strong fundamentals on the data science side, because you should not be an HR, who will talk analytics, but then you should also be an HR who should be able to do analytics. Gaining a deeper technical expertise, if not at least the surface level, in terms of what is the fundamentals of statistics, and able to understand the machine learning algorithms and what kind of input that it takes. Because I remember way back in 2016 when I had embarked on my first people analytics project with a data scientist. So he tried to connect recruitment with a L&D team, because there is a common ID between them. But then you as an HR person would come into the place and then try to actually contextualize the story that hey, recruitment belongs to a candidate, and then L&D is a hardcore employee perspective. So you know uh, it's a mix of all these three things. But if you want to gain a deeper technical analysis, you would have to go into the details by doing some specific data science courses, any of the MOOC platforms, be it Udemy or Coursera or anything. But in specific to, HR analytics, I really liked AI HR Academy. I think it's a startup based out of Netherlands. They are pretty good in what they do. Very, contextualized content for HR, and with a good blend of the three aspects that I talked about, functional, storytelling, and technical. And even we are embarking a journey with them to train a specific chosen set of HRs in our company, and who would be equipped with the skills to do a project, and not just to listen or hear the project. So yeah, AI HR is one platform that I really liked over a period of time. I'm sure there could be the other ones as well, but then yeah, this is my observation.
That's great, Abhilash, and I'm sure this would really help the budding HR professionals to get some insights into this very interesting topic. So moving on to the next question, the most important things to consider for successfully implementing HR analytics in a company.
Yeah, so again, I don't know the definition of success yet. Let me not really give a success talk over here. I know the community that we are part of, but then people analytics is in a very beginning stage. Keeping the likes of Google aside, who have started their journey almost a decade back or even more than that. Even it's still evolving, in their teams. So, what exactly is success over here? We don't know that yet. But, one aspect that you can really take is what is the kind of business impact that it creates. So with keeping that context in mind, there are two aspects that I would like to talk about. One is people, uh, and other is the operating model. Operating model in a way would have the people also involved in that. But then I would like to emphasize on the operating model, because without that, I don't think you would be able to really create a sustainable function. Now, the first aspect, which is the people, in general, right now, whenever I speak to anyone in the market, from a people analytics side, they ask me, so what is the tool that you're using? So, it's just like a hammer and nail. It's you don't uh, if you don't know what you're trying to address, then just having a weapon in your hand doesn't mean anything. So that's what a tool is for me. The first aspect that we got to look at is the people, which means don't chase the tools that you want to create. Chase the people who would eventually create the tools for you. Because even when you come up with the insights, it's very important to democratize those insights in a very simplistic language. For that, you need to have right people. It's pretty rare right now in the market, but then yeah, I would really recommend to invest in people rather than tools to start with. Now, the second aspect being operating model. Now, in operating model, again, there are a lot of things, be it skills or the technology or the infrastructure or the people, and then the go-to strategy within your internal team. So there are a lot of aspects in operating model. But then one specific, school of thought that I would like to emphasize upon is the productization, which means, how do you move from generating projects, a project by project, to a product to your company? Because the first time that we started, way back in 2016, 2017, it was about attrition, our favorite topic for the industry. So, we did it for an unit, and then it was quite successful, and the other units approached, and then we tried to replicate it. So after a period of time, I realized that I'm just doing the same job, wasting the resources of the organization. And that's where I really have to, productize something over there. It's still a journey. We have not made uh, a perfect product yet, but then the thought process and the steps in that direction has started, because, once you really make a good project, it's very important to turn it into, an industrialized solution. Otherwise, you're going to just keep repeating the same thing, wasting the resources of the organization. So the key to that is, to put it in a nutshell, it's going to be productization and the democratization. So I know they are just terms, but then they're going to mean a lot for you when you start your journey.
Awesome. Thank you for that lovely answer, Abhilash. Moving on to the last question, and my favorite too. Can you give an example where the use of people analytics made a business impact?
So we did one recent project, after the COVID, where in our employee experience platforms, we have seen a huge surge in the comments, almost 200K comments. So the immediate interest from the leadership was, while they looked at the scores, and then the engagement scores are really skyrocketing in the last 7 months. It's not like every organization has started doing fantastic, but then it's just that the remote working option has really upticked the scores by a good proportion. But the leadership, really wanted to see beyond the scores on what exactly is the topics that people are talking in the comments. And virtually, it's not possible for you to go through each and every comment. Almost 2 lakh of comments. So what we had done was to use NLP methodologies to come up with certain level of topics for on how exactly people are feeling at the moment, and what is it that is there in the top of their mind, and what is it that they are anticipating. Of course, there are a bunch of questions, so we already have the problem statement with us, and then really going into each and every question, and then trying to see what are the topics that are coming out from each and every question that we have asked. So that kind of really worked out like a input for the new normal strategy that we are trying to come up with, in terms of what should be the ideal workforce working, should be working from home, and what should be the demographics of them, and the time, and then how do we define our communication strategy. Because the insights really talk about how the relationships and the communications between people are evolving, be it in terms of peers, or be it in terms of the teams, or even with the manager and the leadership. So we saw some pretty interesting patterns out there, which really equipped us to come up with a better strategy, to roll out this new normal, which is still work in progress, but then it has kind of worked as a pretty good impetus for, to come up with a strategy.
Awesome. Loved the way it was, utilized. I mean, generally those comments do not come as a problem statement, and then we do such a deep analysis. But this is good to know that they were also focused upon. So thank you, Abhilash, for all the answers. It was great speaking with you.